So let us have now the laws or principle of perceptions according to Gestalt. So Gestalt psychology have 6 laws or principles. The first law is the law of proximity. So look at the pictures. Look at the picture. Okay, so you are seeing circles, black circles in the picture. And according to the law of proximity, elements that are closer together are coherent objects. Meaning, when the objects are closer, no, when they are closer together, they are almost coherent. So when you see objects that are far and they are near with each other, mostly they are coherent according to this law. Next law, we have the law of similarity. The law of similarity says that objects that are similar are parts of the same form. So you will see here that on your left you see the stars, and according to the law of similarity, they are similar stars. No? They belong to the same form, and the form, of course, is stars. This one now, at your right, we have the form of triangles. Then under, we have the form of rectangles. So objects that are similar parts, they have the similar parts, are belonging to the same form. Okay? Next, we have the law of closure. Learners tend to fill gaps. So many of the students, when you teach them, and then they will be listening to you, and if they miss something, they usually connect the things that they have learned and the things that they have heard. So meaning, the previous lessons that you discussed and the present lesson that I am discussing, you connect them, and that is the so-called law of closure. To apply this principle or law, learners tend to fill the gaps. Say, for example, in the first figure, we have the lines that seems to be a square. So all you have to do is to fill the gap to make a square. The same with this. At the middle, it seems to be a circle. So when you fill the gap, it will really be a circle. In the same with this one. That is the law of closure, that when there are objects, when there are symbols that have gaps, the tendency of the human being is to connect them. Okay? Then we have the law of good continuation. Law of good continuation. So learners have the tendency to continue contours and direction. So when we speak about contours, it also similar with direction. Say, for example, you are in the highway and the contour is going to the left, so the direction is going to the left. So contours and direction are usually similar. So based from the figure that you see on the screen, the law of good continuation is, say for example, the letter Z here. When you continue the letter C, what do you think will happen? So the direction will be going to your right, upward, the upper Z, the line, and then the lower C will continue to your left, going downward. And how about this one, the arc? When you the law of good continuation, what do you think will happen to this arc? It will become a circle. Very good. So our students, according to the law of good continuation, even though you discuss a lesson today, they will continue to remember it. They will continue to analyze it. They will continue to apply it in the future when there is a particular need that will be satisfied by the lesson that you have taught them. So number 5, we have the law of good pregnance. When we say law of good pregnance, this refers to symmetry. Now, what is symmetry? Say, for example, what you have seen in the first picture that I have shown you. So symmetry is what's on the left, it is also on the right. What's on the top, it is also on the bottom. So this is an example of symmetry. So on the left, you see the face and another face on the right. So there is something like a cup at the top of the baluster, then below. So we call it symmetry. And there are many people when they decorate their house, there is a base at the left, there is a base at the right. There is a lamp at the left, so there is also, we call that as symmetry. So your face is arranged in a symmetrical arrangement. So you have your ears at the left, you have your ears at the right. That's symmetry. You have eyes on your left, you have eyes on your right. Do you have nose at your left and you have a nose at your right? Of course, there's none. But there are two nostrils, yung butas na of the nose that makes it symmetrical in nature. It is also the law of good pregnancy, simplicity, and regularity. So what is regular, what is simple, we call it as the law of good pregnancy. So most of the students are like this. How they think like the others. They think simply, they think symmetry, they think regularity. But I prefer to be extraordinary when I think. When I think and when I study, I used to be extraordinary. I don't want to be like those many people who think in symmetry, who think in simplicity and regularity. Be different, they say. Okay? Number 6 is the law of figure or the ground. Learners tend to perceive foreground first. So meaning, when we look at objects, we usually look at the surface. Now, we usually see what is on the front. So you see, when I show you the picture, our first picture, you have seen the front part, which is called the darker. The darker part you have already seen because that's the forefront. And then, of course, you have seen the darkest one, which is the forefront, before you have seen the white one. Now, because in the law of, in this law of the figure or the ground, we usually look at the forefront first. So in this figure, what do you see? What's in the forefront? When you look at this, you will first see the black one. Or when you concentrate on the white one, there will be a different one. Now, when you look at the black, it seems that the forefront is the black. When you look at the white, it seems that the white is in the front. So that's the law of figure or ground. Okay? Now let us see the insight or discovery learning. So you will see that based from this law, you will be discovering something from the different laws of perception by the Gestalt. You will be discovering something. And discovery learning is presented or was proposed by the Gestalt psychology. And according to Wolfgang, when Wolfgang experimented on apes, the apes, of course, is in cage, and there is a food at the top of the cage, and there are instruments or boxes that are inside the cage, so that he was observing the ape. The ape is named Sultan. No, Sultan is an ape. Or how will the ape gets the food? He observed that because the ape could not reach the food, so he used boxes to step on the boxes in order to get the food. And sometimes he is not stepping on the boxes, but he was using the stick to get the food. So the problem is getting the food. So the problem is supposed to reach the food. So according to the experiment, the apes did something in order to solve the problem. And of course, our students will do something to solve the problem, even that something is not ethical. Diba? Say, for example, I have given you a quiz. There will be many of you who will be searching and reading on your notes because we are in the Google Meet because I could not see you. So what you're going to do is to make something in order for you to pass the quiz if that is the quiz that is required of you. Okay, so if apes have discovered something to solve this problem, many students or all of the students will also do something, even that something is good or bad. So there is reinforcement according to the Gestalt psychology is not the important aspect of learning, but the coordination of thinking to create new organizations. So the Gestalt psychology is disagreeing with the reinforcement theory, but you will see that Gestalt psychology is opposing that the important aspect of learning is not by reinforcement, but by the use of thinking to create new organizations, like what happened to the apes. History suggested that learning occurs when the individual perceives the relationship of the elements before him. So when the student sees something on the screen or something on the green board or something in front of him, what he's going to do is to look at it, then look at its relationship to himself. And if there are many things in front, he will just looking at the things in front, and then he will be assessing and perceiving the relationship of those things. Discovery learning or insight was proposed by Gestalt psychology. Okay, now in Gestalt psychology, we will see the implications to learning. What is the implication to learning by Gestalt psychology? So number one, it considers with interest the life space of teachers as well as the students. What do you mean with life space? Meaning your privacy or the space that you are located now, it has something to do with learning. So in the Department of Education, the normal space for a student to learn in a classroom is 1.5 square meters. 1.5 square meters. So that's in a classroom. So when the classroom is 7 by 9 meters in length, so that is an acceptable room space. And you will see that most of the spaces now are not applicable in the pandemic, because in the pandemic, at least we are far from one another about 6 or 2 meters, 6 feet. So in the Gestalt psychology, space is a very good, the life space is very good for the students to learn and for the teachers to teach. So say for example, what you are in now, if you are in your room or if you are just in a little space, it has something to do with your learning. So it is very important to consider the space. Number two, it takes interest in the complexity of experience without neglecting anything but accepting and amplifying all that emerges. So when we say complexity of experience, what you are now experiencing while we are now in this new normal. And of course, this new normal gives us complexities of experience. We are encountering physical discomforts, we are encountering emotional disturbances, or of course in the virtual process we also encountering different problems or different complexities, and learning happens, of course, when we are encountering complexities of experience. And the more complex our experience are, the more we will see and amplify, or we will see and amplify many simple things. That's the meaning of number 2. When you are exposed to the complexities of life, when you have many experiences, the more you will be learning, the more you will perceive things easily because of your exposure to life. Next, number 3, it is the same in learning. Number 2, it is the same in learning. When you keep on reading about the theories, when you keep on reading about psychology, when you keep on reading about facilitating learning, you are so exposed in reading, it will be easier for you to understand the concepts that I am teaching now. Number 3, it stimulates learning as experience and experience as a source of learning. So there is really a connection between learning and experience and learning. The more you learn when you are experienced, and when you learn, you gain more experience. That's the meaning of that. Because they are directly connected with each other. Next, it appreciates the affections and meaning that we attribute to what we learn. So, meaning, when you have learned something, you begin to appreciate it. Say, for example, like at this point in time, I am teaching you about Gestalt psychology. And when you learn these principles, when you learn this psychology, the Gestalt psychology, you will begin to love psychology, or you will begin to appreciate the things that you learn, especially those pictures or the law that I have shown you. 5, knowledge is conceived as a continuous organization and rearrangement of information according to needs, purposes, and meaning. Okay, so you will observe that because you are enrolled in education, you appreciate and you give more importance to the specialization subject rather than to other general education courses. Now, comparing your professional courses like facilitating of learning, assessment of learning, and your specialization. If you're specialized on elementary, or you're specialized in English, the more you will give importance to your specialization as compared to your professional courses, and more so compared to your general education courses like PE, like NSTP, or many other courses. Okay? Next, 6, it asserts that learning is not an accumulation but remodeling or insights. So to according to the Gestalt psychology, learning is not only hearing much, is not only reading much, is not only writing much or accumulation, many information, but it is how the things that you live in, or the things that you have understood, no, in your cognition, that is learning. The things that you have understood in your cognition, and the things that you live out in your life. Because the many things that you will be hearing from me, I am assuring you that only about 30% of this will be restored in your mind. That is, the 30% can be considered as learning, not the many things that you will be hearing from me. Autonomy and freedom of the student is stimulated by the teacher. So in Gestalt psychology, autonomy, meaning the students will be learning alone and they are free. Whatever they want to do, especially today in the new normal, you are free if you want to join the Google Meet, or if you want to do it by just doing the module, or you are free when you do the activity, you can copy, but don't copy paste, because Google can determine if you have just copied the things that you will be submitting, because most of your answers must be based from what we are discussing. And if you copy something, be sure to paraphrase it. Tell it in your own words so that it will not be typed as copy-paste. 8, the time necessary for assimilation for cognitive is respected. Meaning, there are students who learn fast, there are students who understand slow. So that is the individual differences in terms of cognition. So we have to respect students who learn so slow. And the last, the contact experience between teacher and students is given value. So you have to give value to the time that we are together in Google Meet because you will be learning many things when we are together rather than you will just be hearing it from a recorded video or you will just visit the classroom. It's good that we have to see each other in the Google Meet. So share Jesus.
Subscribe and
Subscribe and
share
share
Harapet
Harapet TV.
TV.
Go, go, go.